Got it.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Christopher. And hi to the world. This is Amy Falken and Christopher Power with another conversation between California and Thailand. Conversations around the world. I think that's kind of a theme.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Um, so Christopher and I have just been having way too much fun with baking around the world and all kinds of technology glitches
Oh,
and systems and stuff. And, so I would have to say, how do we want to, what's like, I think the thing that's coming up for me, our theme has been what's new, managing change. And something we've talked about off and on for a while is applying consciousness to technology and money. And maybe we could talk about that for a few minutes. How does that grab you?
well, let's see where it goes.
Yeah.
Look, consciousness, it's something that everybody talks about, but there's, whether we've got a real grasp of it or what it is or not is another thing. So let's just go back to basic principles. What's the difference of being conscious and unconscious? Well, in simple terms, I had a couple of seizures 4 years ago, and I was literally conscious one moment and unconscious for an hour the next. And I wasn't aware of the world around me, but obviously my consciousness was alive and it came back. Now, the Thai security people, 10 stories down from where I lived, they swore they saw my ghost walking around the car park, right? Now, my Western friends thought that was just crazy superstition, right? I don't remember any of it except just like when I meditate, it was dark,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't have any memory of time or space during that time. So it's hard for me to be aware of it in a physical sense. But I was obviously conscious, but at a very deep level of consciousness that we would call unconscious. So a simple way of defining consciousness is our level of awareness, but it's much vaster than just our level of awareness when we're in a physical body, right? There are people who have out-of-body experiences. There are people who have near-death experiences. There are people who are aware of things that most of us aren't aware of. So what we can be conscious of, there's a vast realm of that. And what we're normally conscious of is our everyday lives. We call it our everyday lives.
Mm-hmm.
We also know that we store a lot of information that we're not aware of on a daily basis, but it's called our subconscious. And then there are fundamental patterns or archetypes, whatever you want to call them, in our unconscious mind. And then there's what people call our higher consciousness or our higher self or our true self. And there are various dimensions that we're not normally aware of, or most people aren't normally aware of, but we can tap into. And then there's beyond our there's a level of consciousness that's beyond our ability to be conscious of. So there's consciousness, which is an awareness and a presence that exists on a vast scale with many, many dimensions to it. And then there's our ability to be conscious, which is whatever we're able to be conscious of in what we call the moment. in our lives. So a simple way of putting consciousness for everyday practical people or for everyday living is, what are we aware of? I once saw a young girl about 19 or 20 on her cell phone. We were standing at a traffic light in Australia, and she was on the cell phone, and she literally walked up. This is on a major highway. She walked up and went to step off the the level down to the road, and she was just completely absorbed in her phone, and she would have walked straight out into screaming, moving traffic, 60, 70 kilometer an hour traffic minimum.
Wow.
And all I could do in that moment, I was conscious immediately. As she walked past me, I became conscious of what she was doing, what was happening, what she was about to do. And I couldn't give her a lecture on being conscious.
Yeah.
Right? All I could do is scream at the top of my voice. And all of this happened in a second. Now, I was highly conscious of everything that was going on, but it happened in a split second. It was what we would call instinctive.
Mm-hmm.
And I immediately worked out that it was, I can remember doing this, but I was going, wow. And the only thing I could do was scream. And I screamed at the top of my voice, and she just woke up. It was literally like she was in a dream.
Mm-hmm.
Woke up, looked around her, and stopped just before she stepped in front of moving traffic that would not have had a chance to stop. So being conscious, by me, saved her life. Being conscious of what was going on in her cell phone and nothing else nearly cost her her life.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So we have a vast range of consciousness, and in fact, what we are in essence is consciousness. Right? And when we die, we become conscious of other things. When I had the seizure, this world did not exist to me for an hour. Right? Whatever else I was conscious of, whether I was wandering around in the car park scaring the security or not, that had nothing really. I wasn't conscious of doing that, and I wasn't conscious of being unconscious. I was just unconscious. I
Yeah.
was beyond my ability to be conscious at that stage. But my consciousness still existed, and it chose. I don't know how, but it came back. That's the evidence.
Yeah.
After an hour, I came back. And later we found I had a blockage in the left artery of my leg, which probably caused it.
Mm-hmm.
And that got fixed up. Right? So it made me conscious of what was going on in my body. But consciousness is what we are aware of, and a lot of that is a function of what we choose to be aware of, and the best choices are when we make the best decisions for us.
Mm-hmm.
So something like human design helps us decide what's the best choice.
Yeah.
Right? And therefore we tend to be in sync with our body. Our personality and our body, our mind and our body are in sync, and we become more conscious, more awake to how we operate as a consciousness or a personality or a soul in a human body.
Yeah.
So it's an intricate subject, but raising your consciousness just means becoming aware of other things that hopefully are of better value or of finer dimensions. Lowering your consciousness can mean becoming aware of more practical, down-to-earth things, or things that are, not so good for us. But raising your consciousness, I've seen people raise their consciousness and their bodies have suffered as a consequence,
Yeah.
So consciousness is something really worthy of being conscious of. So the more aware you become of how aware you can become, the better it is, whether it's applied to running a business, being a sports person. You look at Lionel Messi playing football, or soccer as we call it in Australia, and he's conscious, Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady, they're conscious of what's going on in the whole field,
right.
all at the same time, instantaneously, right? So developing your consciousness in the areas that you decide are of greatest value to you, that's really important, is very worthwhile. And here's the thing. We have the ability to choose or decide, or both, because the two things are linked. What is of, and to discover through making choices and decisions what's in sync with us, and therefore what's worth becoming aware of. Because we really benefit, whether it's our sport, our business, our relationships, our spiritual relationship, being conscious of how the earth works. If you want to know that, go and talk to people, Aboriginal people in Australia who still live on the land. They've got 50,000 years of experience. They know how to manage the land. They're very conscious of the environment they're in, to the point where they're one with it. So, I mean, that's a long-winded answer, and it's not as simple as I set out to make it, but does that make sense to you?
Yeah, it does. The thing that I realized in listening to you was that, we talk about being aware, but it seems like they're not actually the same thing, but they're an intricate part of each other.
Yeah, there's vast amounts of consciousness you can explore, and what you're conscious of at a practical conscious level is what you've chosen to be aware of in that vast field of consciousness. Like, one thing you'll say for all of us watching this who are in a physical body is we've all chosen to be conscious of being a physical human being on planet Earth, because that's what we are.
And that's what we're doing. Yeah.
That's what we're doing. And so developing awareness of that is very worthwhile, but it's also worthwhile to stay conscious or aware of where we've come from and where we're going home to, because it gives us a greater ability to enjoy and appreciate and be grateful for the experience, rather than blame and, get negative about the whole fact of being human. And the more you do that, the more you're both conscious of what a gift this is. Life is a gift. Our job is to learn to enjoy gifts, right? The more we're conscious of that, the more we appreciate that, the more we're grateful for that, the more we enjoy the experience. But what helps really enjoy the experience is staying conscious as much as we need to of where we've come from and where we're going to return to. And hence, spirituality has a place in our lives. Our relationship with the earth has a place in our lives. Our relationship with other people has a place in our lives. And our relationship with ourselves has a place in our lives. And the more we are aware in all of those, we have a really balanced, very powerful sense of relationship, which increases our potential, but also makes us capable of really enjoying the experience of being alive, and capable of treating other people, ourselves, other people, the earth, and our relationship with our home, or where we've come from, with respect. It's a beautiful thing when you really look into it, because consciousness in general gives us the field of play, the opportunity to really have that experience, and so many other more experiences, I assume, just from looking around me.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's, I know that, I am aware that there are more things that you have a lot going on today. So I'm going to wrap it up and be conscious of time.
Yeah,
And
big con.
yeah. And thank you for dropping into Zoom and talking with us one more time and another chat around the world. So let's do it again tomorrow.
Yeah, well, as we follow up from that new moon yesterday
Yeah.
and the ripple effect of that,
Hmm.
these sort of things are going to become more and more important. So yeah, let's keep the conversation going.
All right.
Thanks,
To be,
Andy.
to be continued. Thank you, Christopher. Have a good one.
Okay, same to you.